Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. MashaAllah. It's a blessing to see the beautiful Allahu Akbar, our favorite Congresswoman, MashaAllah, Sister Rashida Talib. Welcome to our special guest tonight. Everyone, please take a seat. We're about to start this phenomenal program for a tremendous and noble cause. And we will begin it with the best of words, the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I want to welcome Ismail Sayyidi to do a beautiful recitation of the words of the Holy Quran, inshallah. Ismail, please join us, and I ask you all to take your seats. May we have a beautiful evening together, inshallah. Ismail, please join us, inshallah, for the recitation of the Quran.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. مثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله كمثل حبة أنبتت 7 سنابل في كل سنبلة 100 حبة والله يضاعف لمن يشاء والله واسع عليم. الذين ينفقون في سبيل الله ثم لا يتبعون ما أنفقوا منا ولا أذى لهم أجرهم عند ربهم ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. قول معروف ومغفرة خير من صدقة يتبعها أذى والله غني حليم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تبطلوا صدقاتكم بالمن والأذى كالذي ينفق ماله رئاء الناس ولا يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فمثله كمثل صفوان عليه تراب فأصابه وابل فتركه صلدا لا يقدرون على شيء مما كسبوا والله لا يهدي القوم الكافرين. ومثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم ابتغاء مرضات الله وتثبيتا من أنفسهم كمثل جنة بربوة أصابها وابل فآتت أكلها ضعفين فإن لم يصبها وابل فطل والله بما تعملون بصير. أيود أحدكم أن تكون له جنة من نخيل وأعناب تجري من تحتها الأنهار له فيها من كل الثمرات وأصابه الكبر وله ذرية ضعفاء فأصابها إعصار فيه نار كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تتفكرون يا أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا من طيبات ما كسبتم ومما أخرجنا لكم من الأرض ولا تيمموا الخبيث منه تنفقون ولستم بآخذيه إلا أن تغمضوا فيه واعلموا أن الله غني حميد. جزاكم الله خير.
In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. The example of those who spend their wealth in the way of Allah is like a seed of grain, which grows 7 spikes. In each spike is 100 grains, and Allah multiplies His reward for whom He wills, and Allah is all-encompassing and knowing. Those who spend their wealth in the way of Allah and then do not follow up what they have spent with reminders of it or other injury will have their reward with their Lord, and there will be no fear concerning them, nor will they grieve. Kind speech and forgiveness are better than charity, followed by injury, and Allah is free of need and forbearing. O you who have believed, do not invalidate your charities with reminders or injury, as it does no one spends his wealth only to be seen by the people and does not believe in Allah and the last day. His example is like that of a large smooth stone upon which dust and hits by a downpour that leaves it bare. They are unable to keep anything of what they have earned, and Allah does not guide the disbelieving people. And the example of those who spend their wealth seeking means of approval, Allah, an assuring reward for themselves, is like a garden on high ground, which is hit by a downpour, so it yields its fruits in doubles. And even if it is not hit by a downpour, then a drizzle is sufficient. And Allah of what you do is seeing. Would one of you like to have a garden of palm trees and grapevines underneath which rivers flow, in which he has from every fruit? But he is afflicted with old age and weak offspring, and is hit by a whirlwind containing fire and is burned. Thus Allah makes clear to you His verses that you might give thought. O you who have believed, spend from the good things which you have earned, and from that which we have produced for you from the earth. And do not aim toward the defective therefrom spending from that, while you would not take it yourself except with closed eyes. And know that Allah is freed of need and praiseworthy. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah wa ashhadu anna sayyidina Muhammadan abduhu rasuluh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. It's a tremendous honor to join all of you at cair-Chicago's annual gala in support of the tremendous work that they do in our times to challenge Islamophobia and defend civil rights and challenge an administration that is built on a system of division, oppression, and injustice that unfortunately has put people in positions of power who thrive off of building division and fear and hatred within local communities. My name is Hassan Shibli, and I will be your MC tonight. I come from the beautiful state of Florida. I was enjoying our beautiful weather right there, and Ahmed asked if I could join you guys, and that's how much I love Ahmed. I was willing to leave our beautiful sunny state to join all of you here. Very, very, very honored that we have our dear sister, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, who's already been rocking Congress, mashallah, and sending a strong message to the Trump administration that we will not tolerate their, I'll keep it clean for tonight, I don't want to make any more trouble, but that we will not tolerate the rubbish and the garbage that they are doing. And that there will be strong oversight through Congresswoman Rashida and many others like her who will hold this administration accountable to the United States Constitution. My brothers and sisters, when I look around this room, I see that many of us are here as immigrants. We are Americans by choice. We chose to immigrate to this country, many of us, because we believe in the principles of freedom and liberty that this country offers, and these very principles are under direct threat by the current administration. I'm very honored to be a part of the CAIR family because in essence, the work of CAIR, which is made possible by all of you, is about protecting the freedom for our children to practice their faith proudly and safely without any fear. I will never forget the beautiful words of a young 9-year-old girl who attended one of CAIR's many training seminars and came up to me and said, "Brother Shibli, the CAIR family makes me feel safe to be Muslim in our time." That is the tremendous work that you are making possible through your support of cair-Chicago. My brothers and sisters, I'm excited to hear from our keynote speakers tonight, so I'm going to keep my remarks short. Be grateful for the faith that Allah has gifted us with, and be grateful for the freedom that we have to practice this faith, and do your best tonight to use the blessings that Allah has given you to protect this freedom for future generations. Before I welcome our first guest, I want to ask you all, please, to show our next guest the full and utmost respect, and let's hold on to our conversations till later. If I can please have everybody's attention, inshallah, as we welcome our first guest to the stage. I will be welcoming Congressman Chuy Garcia, who is joining us tonight. In 2010, Chuy Garcia was elected to the Cook County Board of Commissioners. He was named floor leader by the board president, Tony Prequinkle, and helped enact the reform agenda. Chuy stood up to an army of real estate lobbyists and pushed through a ban on the practice of some suburban landlords refusing to rent homes to low-income families, veterans, the disabled, and others who rely on housing choice vouchers. Chuy has also passed a measure to put an end to Cook County's corporate cooperation with the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, and God bless you for that. I have personally seen how people within ICE literally care not about families that they are destroying and turning against the very humanity that gives life to this nation. So thank you for your work on challenging ISIS practices. The ordinance prevented county officials from detaining a person based on the suspicion of being undocumented. The measure became the first of its kind in the nation, and more than 250 localities follow Chuy's lead nationwide. Chuy was re-elected to a second term on the county board in 2014. He launched the campaign for mayor of Chicago October 27, 2015. He put together an impressive coalition of support across the state and forced the first ever runoff election in the city's history. He fell short of winning the mayor's seat, but inspired a reawakened and progressive movement in Chicago. With that, I want to welcome Congressman Chuy, and please, let's keep all the noise down to hear from him. Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for that warm introduction. I have to tell you, I feel right at home here with my extended family, all of my Muslim sisters and brothers. Assalamu alaikum. And my name is Isa Garcia. You can call me Chuy. It's worked for 61 years so far, and the name has been very good to me. It's been a lot of fun. I've made many friends, and I have to tell you, my beautiful wife of 41 years, my one and only wife of 41 years, Evelyn, is with me here as well, and we travel as a team. I'm especially excited to be here tonight because when Donald Trump declared the Muslim ban, I was truly moved and motivated and felt reassured by the way that the Chicagoland community responded to that terrible, unprecedented action. And all of us converged on O'Hare Airport and airports across the country and said, an injury to one is an injury to all. We defend our family, and we defend our sisters and brothers of the Muslim faith. I'm also very heartened to learn and to appreciate with each passing day that Islam has been a part of American history since the founding of this country. It is a long tradition and a wonderful faith that has been a part of American history and culture, and so it is that in our day it continues to be that. I'm also very, very happy to be here tonight because I want to acknowledge CAIR and its 15th anniversary, all of the work that it does. And of course, I had to be here tonight with additional excitement and enthusiasm to see two of my great friends receive the Trailblazer Award. Yes. Abdel Nasser Rashid has been a friend of mine for several years, and neither of us is counting. He ran a wonderful campaign for the Cook County Board, scared the daylights out of his opponent, and shot a cannon that said, "We aren't done yet. We will elect Muslim men and women to offices at the local, state, and national level." So I'm pleased to be here tonight. And of course, I also want to commend Dr. Dilara Saeed for also receiving this award. She also ran an outstanding campaign. She's an outstanding member of the community on Chicago's South Side, and she's not done with politics or policy and contributing to the well-being of our community. So I'm glad to be with her here tonight to witness the award that both of them will be receiving. And lastly, of course, last but not least, because we save the good things for last, I have to tell you, I am so moved at having the honor of being a classmate of the most representative of freshman classes in the United States Congress that enabled Democrats to take a majority in the U.S. House of Representatives, and to have a sister from Michigan, from Detroit City, as my colleague. I'm especially excited because she is a Muslim, but also because she is a Palestinian. Que viva Rashida Tlaib. It's wonderful seeing her early in the morning at our caucuses, to hear her speaking out. And of course, last week I saw her on CNN, I saw her on C-SPAN, I saw her everywhere I looked. It's exciting to have the first Muslim from Detroit City, Michigan in the U.S. Congress. Also represents Dearborn, Michigan, right? Well, you do. Just like I represent people from all over the Midwest. Yes, you do. So you have been assigned that, Rashida. So I want to congratulate each and every one of the people that contribute to this wonderful organization. And as I look around the room here tonight, I see America. I see people here from across the globe. I see people of African and Asian and Latin American and everyone who can be called a human being coming together to celebrate the tremendous mission and work and accomplishments of CAIR. I am delighted to be here tonight. CAIR is a leading advocate of American Muslims, helping to build mutual understanding and respect at a time when such values are under attack. Our diversity in this country makes us stronger, culturally richer, and more creative. We need to support that diversity and not build barriers to it. So again, my wife and I join you all in celebrating this wonderful anniversary. We hope you raise lots of money to advance the tremendous work that you do. And your executive director just gave me the thumbs up. Ahmed, Rehab, congratulations to you and all of your wonderful board of directors. Que tengan mucha suerte. Muchas gracias y buenas noches.
Gracias. Thank you so much for those beautiful inspirational words, Congressman Chewy. God bless you. We are blessed to have such great leadership on the Hill at a time when we really need every ally and friend and partner that we have in pushing back against the onslaught of civil rights violations promoted by this administration. Cair-Chicago has always been an inspiration to the tremendous and difficult and challenging work we do in Florida. I remember actually one of the things that inspired me to join the CAIR Florida family is seeing my brother Ahmed Rehab take down some of Fox News' most notorious hosts. So I'm now honored to call you a friend and a colleague and a mentor. You guys are tremendously blessed to have Ahmed and his team leading the fight to protect civil rights here in Chicago. Let's take a few moments to watch this powerful short documentary highlighting the great work made possible thanks to your generous support. And let's make a strong intention in our hearts tonight that we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to use more of our wealth and resources to support this important work. For truly, when it comes to spending to attack Islam and Muslims and undermine civil rights, you find people literally spending hundreds of millions of dollars. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only blesses those whom He loves to use their wealth in aid of justice. So I will ask you all, please, let's quiet the noise down and inshallah reflect over the important work that is made possible through generous support, and let us make a strong intention to do our best to make sure that we can continue this work to protect our future generations to come. Please enjoy the documentary.
So we're going to the sermon, another step of the documentary that we've been creating now for the past few weeks. This opportunity with CAIR-Chicago, learning more about the Muslim community, learning more about Islam, very exciting for us. I've always feel like I've been an open-minded individual, and part of the problem in the world is that people get too entrenched in their own values and in their own ways of thinking. That creates perception that is oftentimes wrong.
I think Islam hates us.
Many Muslims describe Islam as a religion of peace, but a 2015 poll by the Center for Security Policy suggests otherwise.
Every Muslim is a terrorist. Period. Right now. Shut your mouth. I don't want to hear your mouth.
A library puts up an art display that some say insults Muslim women.
Islamophobic graffiti was painted outside a family's home in Homer Glen.
We are consistently faced with challenges regarding our Muslim identities. I will continue to fight without end for our rights, our voices, and our values.
Prior to the election of 2016, we knew that the Muslim community was being persecuted. We see it every day. We pursue it every day. The difference between now and then is that now there's an element of fear.
The Supreme Court upholds the controversial travel ban. Some call it a victory for the U.S., others say it's religious discrimination.
Pretend that the environment and the context of the decision is simply in the words on paper and not in the larger conversation is cynical, irresponsible, and in our estimation, not good for national security and the fabric of this country.
Our job is to bring all that information out to the world and show the world this is what's happening. This is reality for the Muslim community in the United States today. This is what we need to change, and we're here to help you fix it.
Not a week goes by that we don't receive several emails, phone calls. Our hotline's always ringing, and we don't plan on stopping anytime soon. We are 24 hours, 7 days a week. We are always available for anyone, and we will not stop the fight.
Often a lot of discrimination occurs not because of who we really are, but because of who we're perceived as. People look at us and see someone different, and sometimes it doesn't matter if you're actually Hindu or if you're actually Muslim. It's just that you look like someone who you've been told looks like a threat.
My perception of the Muslim community is, I would say, very flawed because of the portrayal of the Muslim community within our media, within video games, news clips, news articles. I don't think it's accurately portrayed.
I wish more people could attend services like this.
Sure.
Because they would see, like, they would hear you talking and they'd hear Ahmed talking, and it would be like, oh, well, I agree with
They're
this.
more like us. They're more like us than anything.
Well, I agree with you.
I know. We want the community to come inside, dispel some of these rumors and misgivings about Muslims.
A lot of times this Islamophobia or bigotry or discrimination comes from being uninformed or comes from a fear that is just not rational. Can you please briefly walk me through the situation that brought you here to cair-Chicago? Please tell me why you're here. Can you walk me through your story before you applied for asylum?
If Osman's family is removed from the U.S., it's as good as a death sentence for their child with this rare congenital condition. Whether it's this or a niqabi woman being beaten and stripped by police, behind every one of our hundreds of cases are real human beings deeply hurting. Our job is to vindicate the vulnerable, but in a way it's ultimately about quenching broken hearts.
My wife and I, we felt so sad. We have to keep giving our child the medical care he needs.
When I came from Algeria, I have high depression. At this time, it was in my city, almost like civilian war. My home burned, my stuff, everything. I lose everything. I lose all confidence with Algerian justice. Because I'm sure, like 100%, if you get me back, I will be arrested for no reason.
It was 2015, 4th of July, when I had attacked by Chicago police officers. They hit me, kicked me, and they grabbed my hijab. Then they threw me to the platform where they took off my clothes and exposed my body in front of everyone. They investigated me and they told me, you are a terrorist, you came to kill Americans, we don't want you to be in this country. I was a nightmare. What happened to me with Chicago police was just destroyed me. They killed me while I'm still alive.
I think it changes with what we just did. You go to the service, you go talk to the people, you realize how similar they are, how they want to just be in a community and be able to share values and
help others,
take care of their families.
Why is it so important for people to come to this area and experience these types of businesses and the food and the culture, and I'm not talking about Muslims, I'm talking about people like me.
Islamophobia is based on ignorance, and what we see is a lot of the people who are Islamophobic don't have exposure to the culture that a lot of Muslims have. So when they come to Devon, they'll be able to see it and see the food and the clothes.
It's amazing what people will form in their own heads when they don't know something. Some of the things we've learned since we started this documentary has been, quite frankly, disgusting. It's mind-boggling that people think the way they do, whether if it's about the Muslim community, about brown people, black people, really any person who has faced discrimination. To me, you just need to treat people with respect. Cair-Chicago, they want everyone to be informed about the Muslim community rather than be afraid of it. And they're also fighting on behalf of many people who have been discriminated against. So this is one of the best projects we've been able to work on.
CAIR's mission is very noble. They have made it a point to protect Muslims, American Muslims, which is very unique.
You need organizations like CAIR. You need organizations that are going to come and say, hey, we're going to fight for the little guy.
A lot of the times when clients call, we're the first people they've been talking to who actually seem to care about what they've been going through and the discrimination they've been facing and the issues they need help with.
While cair-Chicago does serve the Muslim community, they do extend their hands to reach out to other organizations and to other communities, because while it is important for me as a Muslim to stand up for the rights of Muslims, it is also equally important for me to ensure that others, even the non-Muslims, have their rights ensured as well.
We are united, Muslim, Latinos, African American, Asian, white, Jewish, Christian. We are all united and we stand against hate and bigotry. Everything that you are seeing today, whether it is young children being ripped from the arms of their parents at the border, or whether it is the Muslim ban that determines your national security threat, not based on what you've done or what you might be likely to do, but based solely on where you were born, it all comes down to the same basic question. Should race and or religion determine your rights and privileges in this country? Trump and his movement have answered the question with a resounding yes, and we answer no!
I'm proud cair-Chicago, they took my case and they helped me, granted my asylum. They created like a new life for me.
cair-Chicago, they opened their doors to anyone who needs help.
Look, I'm gonna show you a trick. I don't want you to tell your brother though, okay? This is just for you.
They are very good people here. They work as a team.
Where is it? Where is it? Oh man, I'm not a very good magician, am I?
I asked for help. Without arm, I can't live. cair-Chicago like an arm for all Muslims who are harassment and attacked illegally like this. Because of cair-Chicago, I am still alive, body and soul.
When you support cair-Chicago and donate to our organization, it's really a personal investment because you're investing into the lives of Uthman, Angel, and many other clients. They're not less than us. You know, they deserve dignity, respect. They deserve to feel valuable.
Give it up for the Salvi brothers who made the film. Great couple guys. Where are you, Will and Chris? You guys did a good job. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and peace be upon you all, and welcome to our 15th annual gala for cair-Chicago. And I begin by asking the same question to this audience here. Should race and or religion determine your rights and privileges in this country? That is the question before us today. That has been the question before us throughout many episodes of the history of the United States of America. And it has been answered yes by far too many people. And now is the time for more people to join us, not just in words, but in action, answering no and putting forward a different vision of what this country ought to look like, and that is a country, as Martin Luther King said, that judges its children by the content of their character, that understands that the merit of being a human, of being a citizen, of being a dreamer, of being someone that can build and construct, someone who can solve, someone who can unite with others, is what makes America special, if America is ever special at all. It is also important to understand that since day one, that question was hanging over us. Times today are tough, but times are also promising. We just elected here in the great state of Illinois our first Mexican-American congressman, the great Chuy Garcia. And mind you, that is not a fact worthy of mention just because that he is Mexican-American, but because he's someone that once upon a time, being who he is today, intelligent, capable, with a vision, would have not imagined that he could be elected. But he's broken that glass ceiling, and others have before him, and others will after him. In the same Congress, we saw the election of the first Muslim American congresswoman, the first Palestinian American congresswoman, our sister Rashida Tlaib, who's with us tonight as well. And when it rains, it pours. Since 1776, we haven't had an American Muslim congresswoman, and suddenly in 2019 we have two, not to forget Ilhan Omar, who joined her as another first in that same session of Congress. So times are tough, but times are promising. More and more Americans who once upon a time were told you gotta sit it out. You have to sit in the bleachers and watch the rest of us run this place. You don't have a place at the table. You're a little too dark. Your religion is a little too different. You're the wrong gender. You're the wrong national background. That is being challenged today, not just in words, but by people running for office, by people voting at the polls, by people building institutions or maintaining institutions like this that provide a backbone for communities that are attacked in order to be erased or marginalized or demonized. Organizations like CAIR-Chicago. But to go back to our first day of America, and even before that, the Declaration of Independence, even then, it was a promising document, but one with challenges. There was the promise of a people yearning for justice. Who's read the Declaration of Independence? Did you realize that in essence, the Declaration of Independence is nothing but a litany of grievances against social injustice? At its very heart, that's what it is. People saying we're done being second-class citizens. We're done being taxed without representation. We're done being thieved by corrupt individuals who don't connect with us and our families, who don't care about our future, who see us as a bag of money or an opportunity to exploit, who don't make us feel safe, who don't make us feel like we're in control of our own lives. They were then the vanquished, vulnerable minority. And that was a legitimate cry for justice. But at the same time that this legitimate cry that included then an alternative vision for freedom and for self-governance, at that very same moment and at the very same time, there was one problem. There was a challenge. And that this dream, this vision, didn't extend to everybody. Because at that same moment, African Americans were in chains. At that same moment, Native Americans were being hunted down like wild animals and wiped out in a genocide. At that same moment that we talked about all men were created equal, we saw people as less than equal and either killed them or put them in chains. And so the dream was there, but it didn't extend to everybody. So there was the promise, but there was the challenge. And since that day till today, it's always been a quibble, a fight, a conflict between two sides in America. And let's be clear about the two sides. It's not white versus black. It's not Christian versus Muslim. What it is are those who believe that the tent should remain ever narrow, the tent of promise. And those who believe that that tent should keep widening until it includes everybody who lives in this country or walks on its soil. That is where the line is drawn in the sand. And anybody who tells you otherwise is not just fooling us, but fooling themselves and wasting everybody's time. So all of these battles out there in the media, on Main Street, in Washington, about Muslims being the threat, no. The threat are those in America that don't understand that to widen the tent is to make America better, stronger, more effective, more efficient, more closer to its own promise and its own ideals. Because ideals are just ideals. They become fact when you work to implement them for everybody. My friends, I don't want to just be oratorical with you today. I want to get down to something very concrete. We know what the challenges are. We know, if I may summarize them, that ultimately it is about power and privilege. It is about bullying. And that's the story of humankind. It's not just the story of America. That often those who build a certain amount of power or believe that they have a certain amount of privilege, they try to keep others out. And so there's exploitation, and there's the feeling of we can get away with this. The strong knocking on the weak. It's not just the story of America. Look anywhere in the world, throughout history, in many countries today, it's the same thing. That's the same basic problem. Now, it may take religious colors, it may take racial colors, it may take political, ideological colors, social, constructs and ideas and philosophies, but ultimately it's about the powerful versus the powerless. Those who want to maintain a small tent and those who want to widen it. And those who believe that they have the power and the privilege sometimes think that there's nothing to be paid, no price to be paid by stomping on those who don't. That is the mentality of a little schoolyard child bullying another. He believes he has certain power. I'm smarter, maybe I'm stronger, I'm better looking, I'm cooler. Whatever that power is, in their mind, I'm better, and that person is less than me. And then associated with that idea is the notion that I can do what I want to that person and get away with it. It's the same thing when you extrapolate that little microcosm of an example in the schoolyard to an adult, a bunch of adults, a government, who's now in that same mentality bullying a minority or bullying a group of people. And it could be for any reason. Again, they're out of favor for their religion, for their color, for their race, for their political beliefs, for their social beliefs, and to then persecute in various ways, from subtle discrimination all the way to full-blown persecution. We're still talking about the same basic dynamic. It happens in America, it happens in the Middle East, it happens in Asia, in Europe, in Africa, and it's the same basic problem. And so what do? How do you deal with bullying? Well, this is why we're here. This is why I'm here. This is why I got here in the first place, because I was bullied when I was in high school. Well, at least they had tried. There was an attempt. Didn't go very far. But often it can. I'm not trying to talk tough. There's nothing wrong if someone feels that they can't stand up to a bully on their own. There's something wrong, though, if we can't provide a system for someone who feels bullied to feel like they're not alone, that they have it back. And this is what this is about. This is about anti-bullying. This is about standing up to bullies. When someone out there sees what they think is a foreign-looking person in a hijab and a niqab, and by the way, we serve a religious community. We're not a religious organization. So if someone walks into my office, I'm not having a debate about, but this Islam doesn't really say you have to wear the niqab, sister. Why do you go all the way with the niqab? The hijab is sufficient. I'll leave those debates for those who like those debates. For me, the fact is this. As a Muslim woman,
You can believe that the hijab is necessary or not, the niqab is necessary or not. That's your choice. And once you've made that choice of belief, of conscience, you're entitled to live it out without harassment or persecution. That's what a civil rights organization thinks about. So I just want to make that clear for the few, and sometimes I read minds, who look at this and think, come on, man, of all the cases in the world, it's not a good look. Well, do we really want to get to a point where we look at women and then look at the cloth, and that's the good look or not the right look? Have you seen her heart? Do you know this person? Because I got to know her, a wonderful, beautiful person. And she's entitled to walk down the street and not be looked at as an animal. As a matter of fact, I want a case like this. I want someone who's probably the least preferred visual, and then to be able to say, you're still welcome, you're still a human, and you're still entitled to your basic human rights and human dignity. Because that's what Muslims stand for, but that's also what I believe America stands for. So there she is walking down the street, and somebody looks at her and thinks she's not worth it, she's not worthwhile. Big deal if I attack her, big deal if I punch her in the face, big deal if I yank that thing off her head, big deal if she doesn't turn out to be a terrorist at the end. So what? It's the same thing when somebody's at McDonald's, we have those cases, and it's not a niqab, but just a hijab, and some kid, 18-year-old, yanks it off to show off to his friends. Big deal. The many cases of actual bullying in the schoolyard that we have, big deal. Corporations that fire people because of their religious background or refuse to hire them, big deal. Housing authorities that deny them housing, airports that pick them out randomly, quote unquote, from a line, big deal. The father of and the founder and the patriarch of a major sports franchise in America sharing silly, stupid, ignorant emails about Islam and Muslims, and they get leaked, big deal. At least it was in the beginning. I think that's been made clear that it is a big deal by now, and we'll get into that. The point is this: unless we do two things to confront a bully, this will continue. One is to be able to identify bullying when bullying happens and call it by its name. And two is to be able to build a system, an operation that systematically stands up for those who are bullied, those who are most vulnerable, those who others think are not worth it, and to be their backbone. And we can't do this as individuals. We can only do this as institutions and organizations. I use these terms, but what I really mean to say, as an organized body of people. Now that can be a voting body of people, to put in the right people in government, to fight bullying in government, and that's why voting is so important. But that can also be a community building a civil rights organization to ensure that you have a watchdog, and you have an organization that can fight back, punch back when necessary, in order to bring justice to the most vulnerable and the least popular, who deserves justice by mere virtue of them being human, not even being Muslim. And I remind everybody here that in our faith, your right to dignity doesn't come upon your conversion into Islam, but upon your first breath as a human being, because as a human, you've been afforded dignity by your Maker, regardless of what faith you belong to. That is what keeps us up at night. That is what brings us into our office every day. That is what makes us try to grow and strengthen and sustain this effort and have events like this to ask you to do the same. So that these many cases, and I mentioned one, but there are exactly 5,500 to date. It's a big number of cases, all free of charge. We never charge our clients. You guys help us provide this free service to these people who can't afford to find justice otherwise. And I can't spend enough time, I only have a few minutes left, and even if I could, I would never be able to convey to you the human component of each case. What it means to someone who felt that they were less, who almost believed that they were less, who almost settled for being less, being vanquished, and suddenly felt human again, alive again. The justice has been achieved, that they can raise their head up high and walk down the street or into their office or into their school or into a CTA station and not feel like they can be bum rushed and put to the ground and shoved and stripped, that they have rights. Only an organization that does this every day. Times have changed. We have people that can do media. When we started this work, I remember it was trailblazing work to a degree 15 years ago, because I remember a lot of people telling me, don't go on Fox News. Muslims don't do that. And I said, why? Well, he said, because they're just gonna attack you and they're gonna lower your mic and make you look bad. And I said, well, that's a pretty low bar. I'd rather do that than go somewhere where I'm expected to do good. But really, why I wanted to do it was to remind us and discover for myself whether it's even possible, that our voice belongs at every table and we control our own messaging. Nobody can control our own messaging. We bring our messaging to the table, all right? We'll give you the first word, but we got the second one. And if you want, take the first punch, but we got the second one. Proverbially speaking, of course. But we belong everywhere. There's nowhere we should be where we should be off limits. And today, 15 years later, it's not just cair-chicago that's in the news regularly. We've seen a lot of young people, a lot of older people, a lot of activists, individuals who have made a career of being wonderful spokespersons for different causes, eloquent representatives of different causes. Sometimes they don't belong to any organizations. It's a community coming of age. And we have people that can stand up for social injustice. We have social media blowing up with activists. We don't have a monopoly on the ability to connect with the media, carry a story, work for a social justice cause or case. We don't have a monopoly on that. But here's what we do have: the ability to be systematic. Because if we leave it to individuals, if I quit this job and go back into the corporate world from where I came, what's going to happen is when something fancies my interest, then I'll start to talk about it. When I have time, then I'll start to do something about it. But when we build an organization that we know is committed full time, so that even when your eye is off the ball, my eye and my team's eye is going to remain on the ball on your behalf. That's what an organization does. That's what a watchdog is. That is what systemic civil rights work is. It's every day. It's dedicated. It's full time. And we look for things. We have a research department. We don't even wait for things to hit us in the face. We don't wait for things to be headline news. We don't wait for things to go viral. We hit it, and we hit it for the long term. This story with Angel, the niqabi that was harassed and beaten and stripped, I'll give you that as an example. Huge reaction on social media for about 2-3 days when the story broke out. Now, if we want to keep social justice for that sort of thing, this story would have died 3 years ago. You'd never hear about it again. But after that noise, which was legitimate and important, we need to continue to talk about these things. But naturally, people are going to go back to their lives. Once that happened, for the last 3 years, on a regular basis, this team at cair-chicago has been meeting with her and going through all of the details, the excruciating details of working on a case, depositions, court filings, court appearances, negotiations, copying things, faxing things, meeting with people, interviewing people, researching cases, researching facts of the case, so on and so forth. And not just that, when we have a client like this, we work with her not just as a client, but as a human. So she had issues with immigration, not related to the abuses that she faced. We helped her with that. A lot of hours spent on that, because as a human, she's hurting, and that is related to what happened. She can't focus on taking care of her other issues. Issues in school, we helped with that. I spent a lot of time translating, because I felt that hiring a translator wasn't able to convey the passion that she had inside, and I understood what she went through. So I became her translator many a time. When we take a case, what I mean to say is we take a human, and that's what you expect from us. We're a waqf. This isn't CAIR's show. This isn't my show. This is a State of the Union on civil rights in the community back to those who've invested and given us the mandate to say, go out there and represent us and make sure nobody out there who's a bigot, who's a racist, who's someone who's an Islamophobe, that nobody can get away with injustice against any of our sons and daughters. That's what this is about. We had a great meeting with the Cubs organization, with their chairman, just yesterday. Of all of the days of the year, of course, it had to be, all this mess had to be the week before the banquet. It's very difficult for us. But we had great partners, CIGC, Illinois Muslim Civic Coalition, and congratulations to CIGC on their new chairman, Irshad Khan, Rashad and Dilara and Gregory and Mitchell. We all came together and we met with him, and there was a lot of preparation. I'll close with this, but this is a great sort of anecdote because it shows what can happen when the entire community has come of age and works together in various facets to move a file along. We connected with super fans, including the president of the MCC, Kamran Hussein, who happens to be an ophthalmologist, but also a season ticket holder and someone who breathes the Cubs, right? So at this point, it's not just about Ahmed, you know, the bulldog that fights back Islamophobia. I need the field expertise, the subject matter expertise in this story. Afan Arain, many of you didn't know he was involved, but the beauty of this community, some people behind the scenes are doing more than some that you see. This guy, incredible. Long conversations, great advice. Long story short, we met, and I sent a summary yesterday, but the point I want to make here is, he began by saying that my dad is not ignorant, the man who made the comment. The patriarch, the older Ricketts. And at that point I said, you know, you're right, he's not. He has a very high level of education. He's done better with money than I can ever dream to do. Clearly he's a smart man. Clearly he can't be an ignorant man. But you know what? He fits the profile of many a person who says the kind of thing he says, who spews the kind of bigotry he spews, because we need to get to a point where we can understand that bigotry and Islamophobia and racism is not for somebody who didn't finish high school. Some of the worst are Ivy League graduates. Some of the worst are people who are very powerful, very capable, who've traveled the world, who've seen things, but still, back to the initial point of the power dynamic, of the privilege, don't see the rest of us as worth it. That I can get away with this. Now, I don't want to leave you with the impression that this is where we ended. This is where we started. Where we ended was a very good place. And Tom, I have to say, is a genuine good guy, and he understood what we were saying. That together, we're going to move forward to shift what once could have been the sports franchise that is associated with Islamophobia to the model sports franchise that will be associated with anti-Islamophobia through initiatives that are public, meaningful, genuine, and visible. And that's what we'll do together. And that's how you change society. You talk. Sometimes you push. We had a rough press conference. It's part of it. But other times you extend a hand and you have a conversation. That's what you do in Congress, Congresswoman. That's what you do in Congress, Congresswoman. So I'll close by saying that let's pull up our sleeves. Let's not put our heads down. Let's understand that we're in this for the long run. That we can make change, we will have setbacks, but ultimately things are changing for the better. Your children are probably more socially and civically astute than their parents. Their children will be more than them. As we grow as a community, as we build, we're going to have more opportunities. That's not in question. What's in question is, will we now set the table the right way? Will we now give a head start and ensure that those who are among the most vulnerable amongst us today have a backbone? Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My name is Gerald Hankerson. I'm the outreach coordinator here at CAIR-Chicago. So I have the distinct pleasure of really touching on and really recognizing so many wonderful groups, institutions, organizations, companies, elected officials, and very other special notes that has partnered with us here in cair-Chicago, as well as serving all of the Muslim community and beyond. Very first foremost, for this 15th annual banquet, we had a host of wonderful partners who have been very instrumental in not only helping cair-Chicago to serve you as a community, but even within their own rights to make their services available and possible. We have several levels of sponsorship, and I want to recognize them at this time. We have the diamond level with Sakat Foundation and the Mas Foundation. On the platinum level, we have the Islamic Center of Naperville, the Downtown Islamic Center, Ifanka, and the Mecca Center. On the gold level, the Muslim Community Center, the Peoria Muslim Community here in Illinois, and Islamic Foundation North in Waukegan. We also appreciate the silver level. Guys, if you could just keep the noise down. Some of you guys are the ones that we definitely want to recognize, but most importantly, to really acknowledge and respect that as a community we have come together to support not only cair-Chicago, but again, all of us. So we could just keep the noise level down, that'd be greatly appreciated. All right, that's a little better, but if we could just keep it down a little bit more. Again, it'd be great to hear all these wonderful organizations and institutions supporting us tonight and beyond today. Thank you. Continuing with the silver level, we want to recognize SABA, the Society of American Bosnian and Herzegovinians Society, the North American Islamic Trust, Asar Islamic Foundation, the American Muslim Community Organization, all right. And continuing with the silver level, the Prayer Center of Orland Park. And just a note, the meat is Zabiha halal, for those who are asking. Continuing with the sponsorship levels, we have the Ileana Masjid in Highland, Indiana, Peter Inn Restaurant, Hughes Sokol Pierce Resnick and Dim Law Firm. We have Muslims for Humanity, Fawaz Kanul, Amana Mutual Fund, Masjid Darus Salam, Universal School, the Pediatric Health Associates, Iman Fund, Burma Task Force, and the Islamic Community Center of Illinois. That's right. We also recognize the generous support of Precise Audiovisual, Alwan Printing, the Council of Islamic Organizations of Greater Chicago, CLGC, American Islamic College, and the wonderful partners are Fine Security tonight from AASI Incorporated, Security Incorporated. Besides the wonderful sponsors, of course, you may know that cair-Chicago does a great deal in civic engagement and legislative advocacy. And we also foster relationships with elected officials. This year, we have over 70 letters of recognition and support. These congratulatory letters initiate a communication and relationship with the Muslim community. From that community tonight, we have several elected officials that are joining us and their staffers. I'm gonna call the names of the elected officials, and if you'll please stand to be recognized. So of course we have earlier, again, our keynote speaker who's be coming later, and the special longtime advocate who gave remarks earlier, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib here of Michigan, and Congressman Chuy Garcia of the 4th District here in Illinois. From the Illinois Senate, representing the 22nd District, the Honorable Cristina Castro. Two members from the Illinois House of Representatives from the 21st District, State Rep Aaron Ortiz. A longtime friend and partner with cair-chicago from the 21st District, Selena Villanueva, also Illinois House of Representatives. For the Cook County Board of Commissioners, representing the 7th District, the Honorable Alma Anaya. Two wonderful team members of the administration, executive administration from the Village of Hanover Park. Village Clerk Ira Correll Sepulveda and Village Trustee Charmaine Shahjahan. Representing the judicial branch here in the Circuit Court of Cook County in the state of Illinois, the 3rd Municipal District, the Honorable Judge Samuel J. Batard III. It's also amazing that we get to enjoy a healthy relationship with not only communities here in Illinois, but from around the world. Tonight, we are joined by 3 international consulate generals from the Consulate General of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan here in Chicago, the Consul General Ihsan Swice. From the Consulate General of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, Consul General Javed Ahmed Imrani. And finally, from the Consul General of the Republic of Indonesia here in Chicago, we have the Council of Protocol and Consular Affairs, Mr. Mahendra Yahya. So beyond that, we also know that our work goes beyond and focus of immediate civil rights and social justice issues. So just to bring to the international forefront, here in Chicagoland, been staunch allies of our communities in the West Bank and Gaza. Tonight we have one of those brothers here. Please recognize the visionary Palestinian leader in Gaza who participated in the Great March of Return. He's here as a friend of the United States with our wonderful partners, the American Friends Service Community. Please recognize Brother Ahmed Abu Artema here tonight. Would you please stand, brother? Also, one of the things that is very important is recognizing that the Muslim community is also impacted by a lot of issues that sometimes go unrecognized and not discussed. And part of that tonight, you will see a booth that's in the bazaar regarding the special person who's in need of bone marrow transplant. One of the things that's very critical with the health industry when it comes to donations is that many communities of color, and in particularly many representatives within the Muslim community, are lacking knowledge, but as well as those who can make donations for it. In particular, this sister, Sister Lilia Anwar, she was recently diagnosed for an aggressive form of leukemia, and she's in a fight for her life right now. She, with her cousins here, have really been taking on how well they could take on this fight, spreading the word, but also the amazing cost that it is to even take on the bone marrow transplant. The National Registry, again, for the percentage of people of color is very low, particularly for South Asians, and this is Lina's background. So right now, this booth outside, please visit. They're looking for individuals between the ages of 18 and 44 that will register to be a donor. It's a very easy process, but more specifically, it's a way to be educated and make sure, if not for her, that we have more in our community and also can help anyone that is in need. So by all means, please visit the booth right outside in support of Lina from the LA community in need of a bone marrow transplant. Lastly, And I'm glad that you guys quieted it down a bit. Thank you so much. So some of you may have noticed at the close of the year, the cair-chicago family, which is very extensive, very rich in talent, intelligence, charisma, just beauty of the heart, lost 2 of our own this year. I would like to recognize in memoriam, first and foremost, a loving mother, a woman who, in just one meeting, shared her support not only for her daughter, but for the community, and really to represent in life imagery that really captured our humanity, the humanity that's often said that for the Muslim community does not exist. She was here at last year's banquet taking photography. A really beautiful soul, bright smile, vivid, and the warmth. She indeed supported not only her daughter, but our work as well. So I would definitely like to take a moment to recognize Miss Donna Benbeck. And lastly, this brother, I remember hiring back in 2008. One of the most brightest men I've ever met. At the time, he was doing jointly a master's in public health while also in medical school at Northwestern School of Medicine. He came on as our youth development coordinator initiative, went on to get a Fulbright, and went on to practice public health, but was always engaged with not just only youth, but finding ways that our community could be more synergized in representation. And he gave of himself so much. He was a young man that probably is going to soon, but Allah knows best. He's someone whose work still continues with many. And so I recognize in memoriam Brother Makaram Maruf. Thank you.
Yeah, I have this. Yeah. Inshallah, you're all enjoying your meals, and subhanallah, as we saw the memoriam for 2 wonderful members of the community, it's really a powerful reminder of why we're here. Our life in this dunya is very short, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us to have an impact like our beautiful brothers and sisters have before us, that we leave this community, this country, and this world better than how we received it. And that's why we're here together today. And alhamdulillah, we're also blessed to honor with Dr. Khudaimi tonight 2 special members of the community. I want to ask Sister Dilara Saeed and Brother Abdel Nasser Rashid to join us on the stage as our community trailblazers for 2019, mashallah. And it's such an inspiration to know that our community produces brothers and sisters like Sister Dilara and and Brother Abdel Nasser, mashallah, who are really shattering ceilings, setting tremendous precedent and following tremendous footsteps, running for office and making it clear that this is our country, our home, and our future, and we are part of the process, and we will not stand by when our community faces the challenges that it does in our times. First, I want to recognize Sister Dilara. She's been an educator and community leader for over 20 years. She ran for Illinois State Representative of the 5th District and came in second of 4 candidates in a historic race. Dilara is founder of vpeers.com, an innovative peer-to-peer platform named one of the best coaching and mentoring programs on the web. Over her career, she has led professional growth programs, worked with the Children's Defense Fund to disrupt the cradle-to-prison pipelines, and has developed strategies to increase equity and community engagement. She attributes her vision, work ethic, family, and God's grace in allowing her to overcome challenges to be a successful educator and businesswoman. She has a master's degree from Northwestern and a doctorate from Harvard University. MashaAllah, Sister Dilara Saeed, congratulations and Jazakumullah khairan. We also want to recognize for the Trailblazer Award as well our dear brother Abdel Nasser Rashid, who was the Democratic nominee for the 17th District Cook County Commissioner in the 2018 election, and he nearly unseated the incumbent, mashallah, with 49.4% of the vote, mashallah, setting again the stage for future victories, not just for himself, but for the future of our youth in this country. He served as field director for Congressman Chuy Garcia's mayoral campaign and Illinois deputy state director for the Bernie Sanders presidential campaign. As deputy chief of staff for Cook County Clerk David Orr, Abdel Nasser was dedicated to making government more efficient, ethical, and transparent. Abdel Nasser is a graduate of Harvard University and currently serves as Chief Policy and Intergovernmental Affairs Officer for Cook County Assessor Fritz Kagi. He lives with his wife, Fida, and their 2 daughters in the southwest suburbs. Congratulations, Brother Abdel Nasser.
Salams, my friends. Peace be with you. When Ahmed called me and he let me know that CAIR was going to name me a trailblazer, I had an image in my head. The image is of being in a jungle and my arms are flailing and I've got a machete and you know, I'm blazing a trail. But trailblazing today for Muslims in America isn't done by one. It isn't even done by a few of us. In fact, trailblazing is what every Muslim is doing right now in the United States of America. It is our reality. During my campaign, this hit home. Reverend Sanders of Hope Presbyterian Church said to me, Dilara, we may not be the same skin tone, but we are the same kind. And you must show the world what a Muslim looks like and is. When you and I meet an American, a fellow American, it is probably the first Muslim that American has met. We are 5% of the United States of America, and our objective is to reach out to everybody in America. So trailblazing is something we all do. Dr. Yusuf Saeed, my partner in trailblazing, started the first physician-owned surgery center in Illinois. Not because he wanted to, but his patients needed him to. I want to take a minute and just think about you in this room. If you saw a need and you founded an organization or work night and day to fill that need as an American, I'm going to ask you to stand up right now. If you filled a need, and as an American, you have founded an organization or are working in an organization to fill that need, would you please stand up right now? Join Abdel Nasser and me. Stand up right now if you filled a need. I see AAFS. I see Safa Zurzur. I see Niama. Give everyone here a hand that has done trailblazing work. Abdel Nasser and I ran for office. We weren't the first ones. We weren't the only ones. We gained support, but it was hard and it was ugly. In my race, the newspapers were bought to spread ugly lies about who I am and what I do. I prayed every night that you all would know the truth. I prayed that you would stand with me, and you did. Trailblazing, you and us together. And our brothers and sisters, Sharmeen Shah Jahan, Rashida Tlaib, and many others have not only trailblazed, but won seats, mashallah. So now my image isn't of me trying to flail through the jungle. The image is clearer. It's of all of us. We're not flailing, we're empowered. We have skill sets and we have tools. And you know what? We're not just trailblazing, Rashida, nod to you. We're building a damn super highway. Thank you. Please keep my family in your du'as.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. First of all, I would like to thank cair-chicago for being a trailblazer, for your unmatched advocacy, your legal work, your media expertise that you lend to our community, provide to our community every single day. I want to also recognize my parents, Rashid and Abu Rashid, and my amazing wife, Fida. Without your support and guidance, I wouldn't have been able to go on the journey of running for office. I'm incredibly honored to receive this award along with my good friend Dilara, and to be here with Chuy Garcia, who was here earlier, and Rashida Tlaib, folks who I consider to be good friends and mentors and partners. And I also want to recognize Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy, who's with us today. The reality is that I couldn't have run for office without the support of so many of you in the audience. Your encouragement, your votes, your financial contributions, your time. As many of you know, my race for Cook County Commissioner was too close to call on election night. It wasn't until the next morning that we learned that I ended with 49.4% of the vote. And then came the tsunami of calls and text messages and emails saying, we have to build on this. We can't let the infrastructure that was developed go away. And that's why we launched Empower Southwest, to continue building on the work of the campaign, and I look forward to talking to many of you about that today. And just lastly, I would really like to especially thank the fellows and interns of the Rashid for Cook campaign. Many of them are here today, and especially the students and alumni of Universal and Aqsa schools. Let's give them all a round of applause. They helped make the campaign successful. There was one moment in the campaign when these two fellows came to me, two incredibly intelligent young women, college students, and they said, it was in August, and they said, Abdel Nasser, each of them said this, I plan to run for state senate. And I was motivated by their energy and their ambition, though I have to admit, to be honest, I was worried they might live in the same district. Again, I'm honored to be here with you today. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm incredibly honored to receive this award. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Congratulations, and thank you for setting a beautiful example that we can and will have an impact to make this country better for everyone. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, Allahu Akbar. Years ago, when I was finishing law school, I couldn't imagine that in just a few short years, I get to stand on a stage in Chicago and be honored to introduce the first Palestinian American Muslim Congresswoman, our dear sister Rashida Tlaib, coming from Michigan, mashallah. She really needs no introduction. One of the, when I was thinking, how do I introduce her? And subhanAllah, the introduction really suits her well. In her own words, she's a mother working for justice for all. And wallahi, the first time I met her, wallahi, I felt like I was with my mama. She's like, Hassan, don't fall in the mud there. Hassan, is your jacket warm enough? Be careful. SubhanAllah, it's so empowering to see that one of our own sisters, I would say mother, but I don't want to age her, mashallah, is serving in Congress, holding the president accountable, and making history. In 2008, she became history, becoming the first woman to serve in the Michigan State Legislature. She is beloved by the residents for her transformative services that she provides and holding billionaires and corporations accountable. She is currently the congresswoman for Michigan's 113th district, which includes the city, which includes many of the cities surrounding the areas surrounding Detroit. Most importantly, when Trump was spreading his BS, yes, I'll say BS, it's okay. she's telling me to hush. When he was spreading his garbage in the State of the Union address, she was right there staring him down and working to hold him accountable, representing all of us in Congress. Welcome our dear sister, Rashida Tlaib. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Thank you, Hassan. Thank you so much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. You know, we always said the Muslims are coming. Well, guess what? I think we're here. We're not only everywhere in all kinds of different governments, but mashallah, wow, we're in the United States Congress. And it was after this president, not once, twice, but 3 times issued a Muslim ban against our community. So again, assalamu alaikum to all of you. Thank you so much for inviting me to support a civil rights organization that is around the unified fight against hate and racism in our country. I want to thank so much Abdel Nasser, Delara, thank you so much, both of you, for your incredible courage to run for office. You know how alone you feel when you do. People don't understand that process. When you do become the candidate, it's the most scariest experience, but it's also, mashallah, it opens so many doors. So thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate it. And to my brother, Chewy Garcia, or Isa, Allah yarhama Sidi Abdullah Isa, but he would love Chewy Garcia. And I can tell you, what you get with Chewy, what I always know from being a legislator and on, there are some legislators, you hear different kinds of tones in the caucus room when no one's looking and they're not in their community. What Chewy Garcia you have out here in the community, that's exactly who he is in the caucus room. So just know Chewy's got our back, and mashallah, you're very, very lucky to have him. And I also just got joined by one of my colleagues that I'm going to soon get to know more and more, Congressman Raja Krishna. I'm going to do it. Krishna Morte, right? Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. This week, our country lost a giant in Michigan. Congressman John Dingell served Michigan and our country for 59 years in the United States Congress. Many of you have not heard of him, but I grew up with Congressman Dingell as an activist, and then later as a lawyer, and later again as a legislator, and now a congresswoman. He served with 12 different presidents, mashallah. His brilliance, his humor was always a breath of fresh air. He was there to sign the Clean Air Act, the Civil Rights Act, Medicare, and the list goes on. He stood up for issues and fights, even when it was unpopular at the time. One of my pastors in my community, a Baptist, Pastor Bland Jr., would say, we're not a community that is divided. We're not a country that's divided. We're a country that's disconnected. And I still feel like so much that is resonating now as I see the issues that come before us. Congressman Dingell's words always had a true impact on me. I still remember my Yaba, Allah yarhama, a proud UAW member, expressed admiration for the dean, as we called him, and how Congressman Dingell listened to us. At least he listened and he tried to hear us the same way as he would with someone that looked more like him. When I was a state legislator, I came in to serve on a panel with him on immigration rights. And Congressman Dingell was sitting there, and he had his cane. If you knew him, he always had this cane, and he always held it right in front of him. And I was so tired. I had driven an hour and a half to the panel discussion at University of Michigan Ann Arbor campus. And I sit down, my hair is just all messed up. And I said, oh my God, I'm so tired of this. I don't know how you've been doing it for so long, Congressman. They all lie. And he looks at me, and he goes, I said, do you know who I'm talking about? Like these lobbyists, these special interests, they're all lying to me about this issue I was working on, scrap metal theft in my district. And he looks at me, and this is a true story, Reja. It was great. He looks at me, and he goes, young lady, there's a saying in India that if you stand still enough on the riverbanks, you will watch your enemies float by dead. I don't know why. You have to know. At that moment, I felt so much better, and I have no idea if that's really a saying. I'm not sure, but mashallah, like that's the kind of person he was, is that he always tried to uplift and always trying to inspire. For my parents, they just wanted to be seen and acknowledged as even just existing. You see, for them, like so many, including our black and brown neighbors, just the acknowledgement that they are worthy of human dignity, equality, and love is at the core of why we heal and achieve justice for all. In the time of darkness in our country, and you all know we feel it every single day, we all must come together and stand up for one another. Our country has been at a crossroads these last few years. And we've been here before, and we excelled. And we excel time and time again, because the light that comes with love and justice and equality is what we all live for. But it takes something extraordinary. It takes telling the truth. You hear me? It takes telling the truth. It takes choosing justice over order. You know, as our community and growing up Arabiya, I'm always called not mishaket, not now, ba'din. Do you remember that? Like, no, mama, not akit ba'din. Meaning not now, later. It is important to remember that it took different methods and approaches without us reducing each other's values. You see, Congressman Dingell, in all the years of being a young activist, we had different styles and we had different approaches. And I was a different kind of legislator. I blocked trucks, I jumped over piles to get petroleum coke to test it. I was what they call radical. So, but he never shushed me or reduced my voice. He always heard me and valued what I had to say. And that is what is missing right now, as we fight so hard to lead our country with compassion, as we fight so hard to bring back the light that ignite hope and possibility. As we dress our children, and I am a mother, Hassan, like as I dress my children for school, and all of us have this moments where we're looking at our kids, it's usually in the morning. We fight so hard so they don't feel the same hurt and rejection we all feel today at this moment, the pain of not feeling like we belong. We all must fight against racism, anti-blackness, Islamophobia, homophobia, xenophobia, anti-Semitism, sexism, you name it, because we all know the same very people who promote this type of hate are the same in itself. They dehumanize and want power over all of us and use fear to justify it. Congressman Dingell opened hearts. One of the things he said in August 2017, he said, I signed up to fight Nazis 73 years ago, and I'll do it again if I have to, against hatred, bigotry, and fascism should have no place in our country. Much of the lens that shapes the person I am today is from my African American teachers, my neighbors who taught me the truth about pain of oppression. I grew up in some of the most beautiful, blackest communities in the country. Mashallah. All of which in so many things in oppression, all of which is embedded the oppression and the structures all around us at all different levels of government. Now, you mix up all of that with a little bit of Palestinian roots. And that's a part of who I am. You got yourself a very woke warrior that will not give up. Being thoughtful and aware of what others' lives and experiences are like is so important. It's a deeper sense of understanding. I strive every day, and inshallah you do, to enhance well-being of working families, of people. At this moment, as we're being served, Tallu alayhim, please, look at the servers. Look at the servers. Thank them. Look at their eyes. See that this connection that we have to have, because when we fight hate and racism, we're fighting also for justice for the many workers that are in this room today, serving us our meals. Allah ishfihim ya Rabb, like every single day, those are the kinds of connections we have to make in every room that we're in. I will knock down every barrier that is put up there before generations before us. All these barriers were done before us, and now they continue to lay on top over and over again on top of it. But I can't do it alone, and you know this, and that's why we have incredible organizations like CAIR and incredible organizations like our labor partners and all of the folks that really focus on justice for all. There's a woman named Grace Lee Boggs who's an amazing activist in Detroit. She called herself a humanist. She said the civil and voting rights for blacks didn't come from the White House or from the masses demonstrating in front of the White House. They came after the Montgomery bus boycotts of 55 and 56, the Freedom Rides of 61, the Trojans Crusade in Birmingham in 63, the Mississippi Freedom Summer, Freedom Schools in 64, and the Selma to Montgomery March in 65. They came only after thousands of black Americans with their white supporters had accepted the challenge and risked themselves becoming changes that they want to see in the world. At that core is what we need to be doing, because it's not going to be inside the walls of Congress or inside the White House that we make change in our country. It comes from outside, and that means all of you cannot be silent anymore. I'm going to create 4 neighborhood service centers throughout my community. A lot of people are like, what are those? Well, I come from the nonprofit sector, and I'm a social worker at heart. And getting people through everyday issues has to be at the center of my public service. So people shouldn't have to wait years until we pass Medicare for all, or $15 minimum wage increase to get access to health care, to get a good paying job. So they need to be able to come in and say, this is what's going on in my life, how can I help you? Because the power of picking up that phone, the power of the letterhead, the power to convene as a member of Congress can be transformative. Getting outside as they're protesting, as events are inside, me standing with my General Motor workers, me jumping over piles, getting petroleum coke, me blocking semi-trucks coming through my neighborhood. As an elected person, elevates the voices of our residents. And these service centers are at the core of staying rooted in the community that elected me. So my first bill next week is going to be introduced. It's called Justice for All Civil Rights Act. It will transform lives. Our country needs to stop catering to the CEOs and the corporations that discriminate and hide behind, it's not intentional. Oh my God, Jananuni. That justice for all will only require that if we can show that the policy in itself is hurting people on the ground, like car insurance redlining, banks overwhelmingly denying people of color loans, inequity in education funding across this country. That should be enough to say they're violating our civil rights. And it gets back to the core of the civil rights of 64. It does. Where the conservative courts today made it much, much harder for us to get into the courts. That wasn't the intention of the 64 Act, and we're gonna change it, and it stops now. Now, thank you. So staying rooted in my community and connected with the challenges we are facing at home will keep me grounded. I will carry you, my brothers and sisters, with me always. But I ask you to carry me as well. They will come after me, and they already have. Because so many my mere existence as an outspoken woman of color, that I can't be bought, scares them so much. But I know, just like before, together we're going to become stronger and we'll achieve what some would deem impossible. When those in power try to silence us, overpower us with pollution, economic injustices, poverty, hate, bigotry, we'll fight together and we'll win and become stronger afterwards. I am honored to be representing a community that raised me. Sometimes I think, alhamdulillah, I grew up in Detroit because it made me a better Muslimah. It did. I didn't grow up seeing everybody that looked the same like me. I grew up with people that were oppressed before my Palestinian family in Israel did. I grew up with people that understood what real oppression and segregation and hate felt like. And so much of that is what made me want to run in the first place and made me want to show them the love and admiration that they deserve every single day. I'm so honored to be serving the community that raised me. And you think about it, mashallah, brothers and sisters, a girl from Southwest Detroit, didn't speak English when I started school. Mashallah, I'm the eldest of 14 children. Say mashallah. My father only went up to 4th grade education, my mother 8th grade education. And now I am a United States Congresswoman. That is the light that we have now, brothers and sisters. Don't let anybody take that from us. Don't let anybody let us dim down. This is the time for us to speak up. I don't want us to sit back when he calls Mexicans a rapist. I need our community and the Muslim community to say, hell no. When they talk about black Americans, anybody that's being suppressed, we gotta say hell no. Enough with our silence when it comes to us. A Muslim sister sat to me and said to me, how come we're so silent, Rashida? How come nobody's saying anything about us and being attacked as Muslims? And I said, what are we saying when he attacks other communities? Speak up, because it will give us so much more unified approach to this pushback against hate and bigotry. So thank you, all of you, so much for everything you've done. And I can tell you, my mother, who has a compassionate, just heart, and Ahlam knows. This is a woman that when she sees somebody on the corner asking for money, she goes, Mama, haram, I wonder what happened to him. She doesn't judge. She doesn't put any kind of labels on him or her. And this is the same woman that after Trump won, had the hijab on in a supermarket and somebody yelled at her and said, take it off. He won, he said, take it off. And she beautifully responded, you don't understand. Jesus was born in my country, in Palestine. That's who raised this Congresswoman. And that's who's going to lead our country towards a more peaceful resolution there and towards looking at people in a more human way, no matter their faith, no matter their background. We all have to uplift each other. And I tell you, it is that power that scares them the most. The fact that we do talk to each other, the fact that we're sitting here side by side, breaking bread together, that scares them, and it's powerful because this is who we are. It's not even that hard. But alhamdulillah, jazakallah khairan to all of you. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much for this.
MashaAllah. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Very powerful words You know, for the last 2 decades, members of Congress have attempted to pass laws that undermine the freedom of the American Muslim community and serve injustice, particularly to Palestinians. And now, alhamdulillah, members of the Muslim community continue to serve in Congress. First we had Keith Ellison and Andre Carson, 2 brothers, and now we have 2 sisters that are joining. Wallahu Akbar. We're very excited about the future that will come through your hard effort. May Allah bless you and protect you, and know that we will always stand with you, our dear sisters. Jazakumullah khairan. With that, Gerald, we want to recognize another member of Congress who's here as well.
As the Congresswoman has already just acknowledged, a great friend of cair-Chicago, the Honorable Raja Krishnamurthy of the 8th Congressional District of Illinois. Would you please stand? Thank you.
Please retain your seats. We will have the closing remarks tonight by our dear Dr. Muhammad Mazin Khudaimi. He is a board-certified physician in internal medicine and gastroenterology, and currently practices that in Northwest Indiana. He was born and raised in Syria and graduated from Damascus University Medical School in 1979. He moved to Chicago in 1980 and was trained in Cook Hospital. He serves on the board of the Universal School, the Masjid Foundation Board, and the board of the Mosque Foundation Youth Center, in addition to being on the board chair of cair-Chicago. MashaAllah, I don't know how you have any time for anything. May Allah bless you and accept your efforts. He's currently the president of the Ilyana Islamic Association, Highland, Indiana. He is married to Dr. Randa Lutfi and has 6 children. Dr. Khudaimi.
Jazakallah khair. I didn't ask for the advertisement there, but it came, alhamdulillah. Bismillah, salatu ala Rasulullah. I just want to remind everybody that this struggle is continuous, okay? And we shouldn't feel kind of complacent that we came, alhamdulillah, we had a good time, we had a good dinner, we listened to very inspiring speeches, and we did our part. Far from it. So next year, inshallah, we'll be here again. We'll ask for your help. And in between now and then, please, please, please remember that this is a day-to-day effort, a day-to-day struggle, and we should never forget that. And this is a collective effort, and you should always be aware of what your brother and sister need. So thank you all. Thanks for our keynote speaker and our distinguished guest. And see you inshallah next year. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.